So this poem by Robert Burns that we're going to work on, I'll just share the screen and we'll have a little look at this poem first, and then we'll get into our meditation. So hopefully on the screen you can see the beginning of the poem. This was written in 1785 by Robert Burns, who has become known as really one of the national poets of Scotland. 25th of January today is Burns Day, and he wrote this as a kind of a reflection on an experience he had while ploughing a field. And if you don't know anything about Robert Burns, he was indeed a poet and well educated, but also came from fairly humble background. And he was ploughing his field and came across this little mouse that had been living, little field mouse that had been living in a nest in the ground that he was ploughing. And of course, he broke the house of this little mouse. And from that, he has this beautiful poem which goes from that particular instance to a reflection on life in general, particularly life in an uncertain world. And it ties in very well with our mindfulness practice of finding equilibrium in an uncertain world, which we'll go into later on. So I'm going to read this to you. It's written in Scots, Lowland Scots, from the time. A lot of the words we don't use today, but you can still pretty much get the gist of what he's saying. And I might, if necessary, drop in a little bit of a translation here or there. Just see if I can find my cursor, which doesn't seem to want to go into that page for some reason. Ah, there we go. So this is by Robert Burns, and it's called To a Mouse. Wee sleeket, cowran, timorous beastie, oh, what a panic's in thy breastie! Thou needna start awa sae hasty wi' bickerin brattle. I would be laith to run and chase thee with murd'ring prattle. So he's saying, poor little mouse, I just broke away your house. And look at you, running away and making all that noise 'cause you're scared. Don't worry, I'm not going to come and chase you and try and hurt you. I'm truly sorry man's dominion has broken nature's social union, and justifies that ill opinion which makes thee startle at me, thy poor earth-born companion and fellow mortal. I doubt na whiles but thou may thieves. What then, poor beastie, thou maun live. A daemon ickler in a thave, sae sma request. I'll get a blessing with the lave and never miss it. So here he's saying, yeah, it's true, little mouse, you probably steal a few little grains here and there in the field, but it's okay, you've got to live too, and a few grains here and there, it's not much really, on balance, and I'll be fine. When I harvest in the summer, I'll still be okay. The wee bit housie, too, in ruin, it's silly was the winds are strewing, and neathin' new to big a new un, o' foggage green, and bleak December's winds ensuing, baith snell and keen. Now he's thinking about the poor little mouse. He says, oh, and look at your house. It's all been broken up, and you've got nothing in this field to make a new one. It's December, it's freezing cold, and poor little mouse, thou saw the fields lay bare and wasted, and weary winter coming fast, And cosy here beneath the blast I thought to dwell, till crash! The cruel coulter passed out through thy cell. There you are, all ready for winter, your house made, all warm, thinking you were fine, and then I came with my plough, and I broke it all apart. That wee bit heap o' leaves and stubble has cost thee many a weary nibble. Now thou's turned out for a' thy trouble, but house or haid, to stole the winter's sleety dribble and cranreuch cold. So after having put all that effort into building your house, now you're out in the freezing, bitter cold of winter. But, Mousie, thou art no thy lane, improving foresight may be vain. The best laid schemes of mice and men gang aft agley, and lea us naught but grief and pain for promised joy. Well, little mouse, you're not on your own in knowing that all the planning we can do in life might come to nothing. The best laid schemes of mice and men often don't work out properly, and they leave us nothing but grief and pain where we hoped for joy. Still, thou art blessed compared wi' me. The present only toucheth thee, but och, I backward cast my ee on prospects drear, and forward, though I canna see, I guess and fear. And there's where we tie in with our mindfulness. He says, oh, but little mouse, you're so blessed compared to me, because you can only live in the present. And here I am, I often go into the past and dwell on things, or I go into the future and I worry about things that haven't happened yet. So, a poem which has a very mindful kind of perspective. So, how to use the breath to tune into a sense of equilibrium in uncertain times. That's the meditation that we're going to practice on today, which is quite simply a meditation on the breath. But as we go through, recognizing that the breath brings us just to the present moment. We can't be in the future or the past. We can only be here in the now. And using the mindfulness on the breath allows us to come back to the present moment to find our peaceful core at the center of everything that's happening in our life, and gives us that mindful space and perspective, a new way of relating to what's going on in life. So we begin our meditation by finding our posture. And for a meditation on the breath, we could be sitting or lying down. Either way, let's begin first of all by just tuning into our posture. And the goal is to find a posture that is stable and secure. If you're sitting, if possible, the feet on the floor with the soles of the feet flat, giving us a stable base. Or you could be sitting cross-legged, if that's comfortable for you. You could be kneeling on a zafu. And if you're lying down or sitting, let's just begin by tuning into all the places where the body connects with the earth, the chair, the bed, the cushion. inviting our focus of attention into the body, noticing each point of contact, noticing the body held and supported. And tuning in also to the way that the body is holding this posture, often coming into meditation. We carry the doing world in, and it's all about effort, striving. So there might be some of that energy still in the body, noticing if there are any places where we feel the muscles are holding tension, bracing. If so, just noticing these places and inviting as much as possible, letting go of effort, allowing the posture to be effortless, knowing that the body's weight is held and supported by the bed, the cushion, or the chair. Checking in also to the energy within the body right now, knowing that our mindfulness practice is about being present with our lived experience. So a quick check-in with the energy, the emotions, with any powerful thinking that might be going on, and just acknowledging your present moment lived experience. Whatever we find in our lived experience today, whatever the energy in the body or the thoughts that are going around in the mind, the emotions that are present, as best we can, just accepting those and allowing them to sit with us in our practice, to be recognized, accepted, and part of the practice. Now turning to the breath and just being curious to where we feel the movement of the breathing in the body today. Every time we come to meditation on the breath, it's a new moment. So coming in with this beginner's mind, where and how is the movement of breathing felt in the body today? Noticing if today we feel it more in the rise and fall of the belly, or maybe the expansion and release in the chest, or maybe somewhere around the nose, the mouth, or the throat. And then just slowly, like gently falling snow, inviting the attention to rest very gently on the movement of breathing, coming completely into embodied awareness of that movement of belly or chest, of that air coming in through nose or mouth, or that air leaving the body, the release and the air leaving the mouth, the nose. Just dropping into that rhythm of in breath and out breath. And if you find that you're distracted, drifting into thinking, or feeling restless in the body or tired, drifting off to sleep, see if we can invite that too into our practice. And as best we can, just rest in that rhythm of in breath, out breath, knowing that we're breathing, and just notice that restlessness. Maybe notice where it's felt in the body. Then come back to just following the breathing again. Notice what happens. If we find ourselves thinking, just notice the thinking. We could even notice if the thinking is going into the future, going into the past. And then return to the present, the breath in, the breath out. We notice a distraction, a noise in the room. We can acknowledge the noise and maybe even notice its pitch, its volume, intensity. But then we say, okay, let's come back now to just following the breath. So we call this using the breath as an anchor, noticing whatever is distracting your attention, acknowledging that, and then deliberately bringing the attention back to the next in breath, the next out breath. And if you're living in a time of uncertainty, there might be some strong impulses in the body to be doing something, to act, to get up and fix things, change things. That energy in the body of reactivity, of getting things done. So well done for noticing that in times of uncertainty, our body is on alert. Acknowledge where and how that is felt in the body, and then we have nothing to do. We just come back again to reconnecting with our awareness of the in breath and the out breath. In times of uncertainty, when our system is on alert, the mind will be always pulling us into thinking, problem solving, speculating, worrying, might be playing a certain scenario over and over, might feel like these thoughts are very powerful. And our meditation on the breath won't make those thoughts go away, and we're not trying to. Instead, we're trying to change our relationship to them. We can acknowledge the thought, acknowledge what we're thinking about, but then we can unhook from that thought. No action right now, just awareness. And once acknowledging there's a busy mind today and it's preoccupied with something, the discipline of letting that thought go and coming back to choosing to rest our attention in the next in-breath and the next out-breath, returning to present moment embodied awareness. And in times of uncertainty, often our system being on alert brings up some powerful emotions. So using our mind awareness of the breathing as an anchor, a center, a space of calm. Around that, we can notice those emotions rising, flowing, maybe different layers of emotion. Again, we can acknowledge them, and if you can, notice where and how they are felt in the body, maybe on the skin as a temperature, or in the heart rate, or in the gut, or in the throat or the neck, or wherever in the body they're felt, on the face, around the head, in the shoulders. Just notice, be curious, but don't get in too deep. If these are strong emotions, we can return to the breathing, sit with the breath, and the next time we notice that emotion, we can come back for a second look, check in again. So whatever we're feeling in the body, the mind, the emotions, we can check in when they pull our attention. We can recognize and get to know them a little bit. But then we always have the breath to come back to as an anchor. So for 10 minutes, let's try some silent meditation, using the breath as an anchor, acknowledging the feelings in the body, the thoughts or the emotions as they arise, and then intentionally returning our attention back to in breath, out breath, and the physical sensations of breathing. And I'm sure over 10 minutes of silent practice, the mind has wandered. The body has wanted to fidget or sleep. That's okay. In our practice, we're just simply connecting to our lived experience moment by moment. If the mind wanders, we notice. If the body falls asleep, we'll be aware of that moment of drifting to sleep and that moment of waking up. If there's a fidgety, restless energy in the body, we simply just sit and observe what happens as that energy is felt within the body. So, at the center of it all, our breath as an anchor, knowing that we can connect to the breath as a way of coming to this moment, not the future that our mind wants to worry about or the past that our mind wants to mull over. Just this moment, this breath. We still have around 15 minutes of practice time. So I want to invite you for the next phase of our practice, staying with the breathing. Whenever you notice a thought coming up, a sensation in the body, an emotion, particularly if it's connected to a time of uncertainty, if there's anything that requires a little bit of kindness or a little bit of compassion, as we notice the feeling in the body or the emotions or the thoughts, as we let go of them, as we come back to the breath, we could just ask, how can I bring kindness to this, or softness, or compassion? Connecting to self-care. Not thinking it, but more just feeling it as we go back to the breathing. Just set the intention, softness, kindness, and use the breath to breathe that into the thoughts or the feelings or the sensations, and just notice what happens. As we connect to those thoughts, those sensations, those emotions, through the breathing, we could also ask, is there anything here I could let go of? Within those thoughts, emotions, impulses, driving us to get things done, to go into the past or the future, we can ask, are these all serving me well? Are these caring for what I need? Or are there things that I can let go of to lighten the load? We can breathe those out as we breathe in the compassion or the resourcing or the energy that we need for the resilience of navigating uncertain times, the kindness and the care and the compassion that we need. On the out breath, just letting go of maybe attitudes, expectations, habits, judgments, stress, whatever could be let go of to bring us back to a sense of equanimity. We can breathe that out. So, just as in the poem that we began with today, to a mouse, the best laid plans of mice and men aft gang ugly. Often we all living things, we meet times of uncertainty. It's part of life. But how we meet them might make the difference. And as Robert Burns says in his last sentence, last verse, this little mouse has the advantage. He meets the moment in the moment, whereas we as humans tend to meet the moment weighed down by the burdens of our past or by our predictions or projections into the future. This breathing practice gives us 1 hour to meet the moment as it is right now, to notice that thinking that brings us extra weight to the moment. We see the moment through our future fears, through our past regrets, through our striving for things to be different. And then it becomes a moment of tension or disappointment or fear. If we can just meet the moment as it is and be curious about it, then it becomes just a moment to be experienced. And then we can connect to what we might need to care, to soften, and that might guide us more wisely in our actions going forwards. And I said earlier I was going to mention my scarf. So today, while clearing out some cupboards, I came across some knitting that I started probably about 20 years ago. And I decided to finish the knitting today as a mindfulness practice. So every stitch that was knitted was like the mindful breathing meditation, coming back to the present moment, noticing when my mind wandered, and then coming back to knitting. So if you don't like sitting on the breath, find something else. I chose knitting because at the end of it, I have a nice scarf. So a nice way to spend an hour, in this case, maybe 2 or 3 hours over yesterday and today to finish the scarf, to relearn how to knit and to connect to the present moment, the breathing, stitch by stitch. And as I wear this now, I feel nice and warm. And as I wear it, I'm also reminded going through my day just to stay present, take a breath, and use my breath to try and find my equilibrium in the middle of whatever moment I'm navigating. So over the next week, it doesn't need to be knitting, but if you can find some way of channeling your mindful energy you could make yourself a little bracelet, or even just find a little pebble or something and put it in your pocket. Every time you touch the pebble in your pocket, remember to take a mindful breath. Bring yourself back to connection with the present moment, with the feeling of the breathing in the body, closer to a sense of equanimity in whatever moment you happen to be living. So we'll end our practice there, very gently opening your eyes, just feeling the body. You've been sitting or lying for about an hour. So just very gently reconnecting to the legs and the arms, the back. Might want to stretch, a little sip of water. I'm going to end our recording there. But well done for your practice today.